Okay, everybody. I have something really cool to tell you about. If you haven't heard yet about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain here. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one single place. Now, the way that you can do this is you got to download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm, and then you can get started. It's really fun. We just switched over recently here at All Too Real 2, and I'm enjoying it so far. So be sure to check it out and let us know what you think. Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2 podcast. I don't know what that was, Matt. I think I need help.
That's cool.
My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is
Matthew, the Winter Soldier, Haas.
Does that make me the Falcon?
Sure.
Okay. So, from now on, you must refer to me as the Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I'll stick with Mike. Okay, anyways, so, today on the show, we are covering, in this special bonus episode, the first episode of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Disney Plus television show, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The title of this episode is New World Order.
Mm.
Yes. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A very interesting title for this episode.
Yes, it is. What was your initial reaction to this episode, Matt? Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Me too. I think it was very well done. It had a nice balance of dramatic elements with action, and a lot of action, actually, but in a good way, not too much action. Because I personally hate things that are just like wall-to-wall action.
Yeah.
So, without any, character development or, good drama.
Yeah, Marvel, productions are pretty good at that balancing act, of just not having just wall-to-wall action, like pretty much all the movies, they usually take about an hour to kind of really get into the, the action part of the story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
This, what happened in this episode here, Matt?
Oh boy, a lot. It pretty much opens with an action scene. Well, no, actually it doesn't, but pretty quickly into it. Sam, I called him by his hero name.
Yeah.
Sam is he's kind of replaying the end of Endgame when Steve is giving him, the shield, and Sam told him that it feels, like it belongs to someone else. And Steve says, well, it isn't, and he's kind of replaying that, in his mind, and he puts the shield in the bag. See, I'm not sure. Did it open with that, or did it open with the action scene? I don't remember now.
It opened with that, and then I think it cut to the action scene, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so he put the shield in the same bag that, Cap gave him. And then it goes into a scene, because he's kind of working for the Air Force, kind of like as a, independent contractor, I guess, or whatever. He's kind of working off the books, kind of like a mercenary in a sense. He's not doing hardcore stuff or whatever. He's trying to collect an asset for the military that's being kidnapped by the terrorist organization called LAF. I think that's what they were called.
Yeah.
And
that's funny, man. Laugh, get it? I'm sorry.
They get it, laughs, yeah. And they had great joke too. I mean, not really, but typical bad guy jokes. This guy's squirming like a fish. Maybe we should gut him like a fish. Stupid bullshit like that. Anyway, so I think he was speaking French. Goddamn French asshole. Wait,
yeah,
what? That was weird.
He was actually that was Batrock. Jorge's Batrock, who is a character who actually he appears in The Winter Soldier as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's an Algerian mercenary and pirate, and he hijacks a SHIELD ship in that movie. Though Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff and a group of SHIELD agents rescue the hostages in that situation. So yeah, just a little background there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So
so they get into a big fight. He doesn't rescue the asset because he's up against 5 different people, and fire is shot. Gunfire is being shot all over the place, and accidentally kills the pilot. So the plane starts to kind of go down or whatever. The bad dudes have these flying squirrel type of suits that help you glide. Not really fly, but they help you glide. And they're kind of near all of these mountain kind of area or whatever, lots of rocks and stuff like that. So really cool scene where Falcon is pretty much chasing these guys, and then some of the planes are shooting missiles at them and stuff like that. Really cool. Kind of reminded me of Star Wars a little bit, actually.
Yeah, it was very trench fighting sort of stuff, in the first Star Wars, and then also kind of the pod racing and all that other stuff too.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me a lot of that, and that went on for a good 5 minutes or so of just straight up action. Eventually, he saves the dude, and then the guy that Sam's working with, his name is I forgot his first name. His last name is Torres.
Yeah, it's Joaquin.
And and he's punch in the air, we got him. And then they kind of because that's the other thing, they were trying to avoid going into Libyan airspace because that was going to be a huge problem. So they just pretty much just got right before they got into Libyan airspace, and then the next thing is that they're in Tunisia drinking tea. By the way, Arabic tea is really, really fucking good. Anyway, it just is. Tunisia is North African / kind of Arabic. Whatever. I'm kind of getting into a weird tangent here, but
yeah.
And Torres, I'm not sure about Torres beyond. I mean, I know in the comic books he becomes Falcon, and then Falcon becomes Captain America. So they kind of just they become.
I mean, the thing is, they might be subverting his character too, because I don't know if I trust him.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know, because he mentions a group called the Flag Smashers, and Flag Smasher was a character in the comics who was a son of a diplomat or ambassador who got killed by terrorists, nationalist terrorists, like hardcore conservative people, which we're not familiar with in this country. Anyway, and then so he responds to that by basically being like full on like anarchist, like no borders, no countries, nationalism is a disease, it's fucked everyone over, and then he becomes a terrorist essentially, which is interesting because he becomes a terrorist and he blames his terrorist actions on nationalists in order to prove how bad nationalism is. You know, so it's like
it's interesting. It's interesting. A lot of the parallels to today's society that are in this episode too. I mean, with a lot of a lot of the plot points that we'll talk more about as we go on here.
Yeah, but Torres does this line that really concerned me because he's describing what the Flag Smashers are to Sam, and he's like, you know, they believe that things were better, you know, during the blip, you know, when half of humanity was gone because people kind of came together more, and you know they had each other's back, and then now things are kind of coming back to normal because this takes place about 6 months after everybody returned, you know, so things are starting to kind of go back to how they used to be, which is not always, you know, a good thing. And he said, like, you know, they believe in like no borders, no countries, no nations, and then he says, you know, you could see how that would be appealing to some people. Just the way he said it was kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like his character. I mean, I think the actor is doing a really good job. It's Danny Ramirez is the actor's name. He's doing a really good job in the role. He's just playing it in this way that you really can't read him. I was reading some things where people were commenting that his character was a boring, like, Boy Scout sort of character or something. But I don't see that. I think there's going to be more to it, and people are just judging it on one episode. I mean, give him time. He could end up being really cool or really evil or really anything because he's still kind of a blank slate right now, you know? Based on this episode, you know? So,
I mean, it's kind of like Hayward and WandaVision. We didn't really know what his angle was for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, I part of me hopes he is a good guy. Part of me hopes he is a bad guy too, because it would be interesting, you know? So it's hard to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus too, because he was trying to mess with Sam's suit or whatever.
Yeah.
And Sam said, you know, I've been working for the Air Force for 6 months, and every time you guys mess with my, you know, whatever, it kind of screws it, you know, things up. So that's kind of interesting. It's like sabotaging, you know, like
makes you wonder if you can trust the military.
Right. Yeah.
Right off the bat, which is interesting. So after this scene, you know, like, and we do have this, you know, where they're drinking the tea and stuff, and people recognize Sam as Falcon, and but we then cut back to what was happening after the beginning, where Sam was ironing a shirt and putting the shield into a thing, and did you talk about I blanked out for a second there. Did you talk about what Joaquin was saying about Captain America?
Oh yeah, no, about the moon base or whatever.
Basically, he's saying that people think that he might be on the moon, and so it was funny. He's leaving, and Joaquin asks him where he's going, and he's like, "I just got to take care of moon stuff." So, you know, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
and so,
that.
He ends up in Washington, and in Washington D.C., and he's at the Smithsonian, giving a speech saying that we need women and men who are, you know, suited for this time to take over as heroes, basically. Mm-hmm. So, and he donates Cap's shield to the Smithsonian, which has a whole little section about Captain America. And
a lot of shit too.
Yeah, and while he's there, Rhodey's there, aka War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhodey's putting, basically kind of wondering, like, why are you donating this sort of thing, into Sam's head.
Mm-hmm.
So, because there is a really cool shot in the episode where Sam is off center, looking at you see his reflection and the shield's reflection together in this glass, and you kind of, he's off center, not able to, basically not lining up with it to accept the shield, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
It's just like he's just dealing with this, like, he's been gone for 5 years. Dealing with the fact, it's like he's talking at one point and he's just saying that, like his nephews who were like babies when he left are now like little men.
Yeah.
So it's like hard to deal with the fact that your nephews are 5 years older. The world is 5 years older, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's like coming out of a coma, you know?
It's scary. I can't think of that, like, just imagine if that really happened. Like, if, you wake up tomorrow and, everybody is 5 years older.
Yeah. It's really weird. Like, you don't age, so pretty much you're the same age you were 5 years ago or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's very, very interesting concept. And, those kids looked way older than 5 years old to me, though. In my opinion.
Well, no, he was just saying they were babies, meaning they were young, and now they're older, basically.
I got you. He wasn't being literal.
No, he wasn't saying that they were like in diapers or something. But
okay. Yeah, he was just being. I get it.
Wait, like now they're they're about to go through puberty, sort of thing, So,
right,
yeah. So after he gives the shield to the Smithsonian, he visits his sister Sarah and nephews in Delacroix, Louisiana, which I do believe is actually the hometown of the actor who plays Sam. So.
Oh wow.
So basically they're there trying to he gets there and his sister's basically struggling to keep their they have a fishing business and fishing and like catering business that they're trying to keep together. He tries to get a loan from the bank, and there's this like real asshole banker there who just basically says, you haven't had any income for the last 5 years. Like, fuck you, I was dead for the last 5 years. Like, what the hell am I supposed to
Yeah, I don't think there was like a Thanos retirement plan when you were snapped,
Yeah. Not to mention, he starts asking questions about how do the Avengers get paid? He's like, did Stark pay you guys? Did this, did the government?
Right.
It's basically we've kind of find out that the Avengers don't get paid.
Which is so fucked up. Stark should have paid them, and he's a freaking billionaire. Jesus Christ, dude.
Well, I'm sure that there was, some. Basically, he kind of implies that there was, basically we relied on the kindness of strangers, sort of thing,
Right.
So maybe Stark did pay them a little bit here and there, So, but you think like when they started, SHIELD would have paid them, but then SHIELD, was infiltrated by Hydra, so.
Right, yeah, because they were working for SHIELD first, I think, right? Back in the early days, like 2012 or whatever. Yeah, that's right. They got infiltrated by Hydra. I got so scared, though, in this show when they got into Bucky's part of the story. When he says, "Hail Hydra," and I was like, "Oh, God, please don't let Hydra be, like, the main bad guy again." Or whatever.
Me too.
But it turned out it was nightmare. Okay, good.
So basically, what ends up happening is, he gets denied for the loan to help out him and his family's business.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he could get it, and his sister and him are fighting over the fact that she wants to sell the boat, That's their family legacy, basically. And it's interesting here because I think there's a lot of metaphors here with the fact that he doesn't want to give up this boat, which is his family's legacy. But he was willing to give up his shield, which is technically his family's legacy as well.
Right.
Because it's a legacy that his basically his brother, Steve gave him.
Right.
But he didn't think he was ready for that. And gave it up. So, it's just kind of interesting that you kind of just basically, the things you struggle with in life, and how you realize that you don't think you're worthy of certain things. And I think they really delved into that. The emotional impact of being a superhero or being, feeling that basically almost like the imposter complex. Where you basically, where somebody's I've heard it a lot of times when it comes to, acting or other things too, like where, you're basically, you become a famous actor or something like that and you still feel like you're waiting for somebody to find out that you really can't act.
Yeah.
So you got this imposter complex, but he's basically avoiding having that by not even taking up the mantle of Captain America that he should be doing.
Yeah. And then he's focusing on, the boat and shit like that as a way to kind of divert his attention, from being Captain America, essentially, or at least using the shield, taking up the mantle. Because like Sarah said, that's what she told him, is like, you went off and joined the military, you saw the world and stuff like that. I've been here the whole time. So I've actually come to terms with, the reality of things because I've been here the whole time. So I've been, gradually basically coming to terms with the fact that, we might have to sell this boat. I know it's part of our family history. I know there's a lot of memories attached to it, but I've pretty much been staring at this boat, the whole time. And you know what I mean? Whereas for him, it's more of like coming home. Whereas, she is home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's been gone for 5 years during the blip too. And you also think about it too. The fact is that sure, Thanos had a bad way of dealing with things, but you did have this 5 years where there were more resources to go around.
Mm-hmm.
And, possibly if the people didn't come back from the blip, she would have been better off.
Yeah, right, because nobody knew that, everyone could come back. They didn't never, prepare or plan for that. So they just started living like things were, so therefore resources were allocated in such a way that made sense for half of, basically half of the world, and all of a sudden half of everything comes back again, and then now they have to plan for all of this new influx. I mean, kind of like, a hospital who suddenly has 50% more occupancy just out of nowhere, you know what I mean? And they don't have enough medicine, they don't have enough beds, you know what I mean? Because they weren't preparing.
And it's really interesting to watch this through the gaze of the pandemic that we're living in too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got this whole, basically that's kind of happening in the hospitals, as you've got this influx of people with COVID,
mm-hmm.
and you don't have enough beds for somebody with, with a cut on their hand or something. You know what I mean? It's just,
yeah,
or something that's not as detrimental to life as a pandemic is,
Yeah.
It's interesting. Get your vaccines, people.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you can. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, some people can't yet. I scheduled mine already, so I'm gonna
cool.
I'm gonna be getting mine soon, which will be cool. Anyways,
awesome.
So anyways, do you want to take a break and then talk more about this episode here, Matt?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
And we are, what do you call it?
Back?
Back? Yes.
Yeah.
Back. We're back, folks. Back. Why am I talking like that? Back.
Back in back. Oh no, your favorite band. Back in back. Yes. Every album sounds the fucking same.
Yeah. If you like AC/DC, fight me. Wait, no, don't. You might be my
I do
ass.
actually like their first three albums are pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they are pretty repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
and after that, it just becomes way repetitive. Like,
If you can musically prove to me how their songs are different, I'd like to hear that.
yeah,
I mean, I'm open. I'm open to this. You know, not you specifically, Matt, but I'm just saying anybody listening. If you want to send me an email, Mike at cullenpark.com. Maybe you'll change my mind. Maybe I'll start liking AC/DC.
yeah. No, even with "Let There Be Rock," which is a really good album of theirs, there's one song that is very similar to another song from like a different album. Like I listened to it, I'm like, oh my god, like that's almost the same exact. No, It was almost the same exact riff from. It's long. How does it go? If you want to rock and roll, it's a. Can't think of the word. It's a long. How's it go? A long road. If you want to, whatever.
I would have no idea.
Yeah, I'm like blanking on the lyrics. Anyway, it was like almost the same exact riff, and I'm like, wait a minute, like you guys are just rearranging it a little bit here. Anyway, we're back. Yes.
Yes. Anyways, back to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Basically, that was Sam's story that we just went through. So now James Bucky Barnes, we get to his story in this episode.
Yeah.
What's happening here with Bucky?
What's happening here with Bucky is I just remembered the lyric. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, and that's what Bucky was listening to. So no, it wasn't. But just trying to find a way to connect it to the. So, our first intro to Bucky is there's like this conference going on, and this dude is like. His friends or his colleagues want him to go out for a drink, and he's like, no, I gotta study for tomorrow's session. So he leaves to go to his hotel room, and then, this guy just like bursts through the walls and starts grabbing people and killing them. He's got, a mask on, cause he's COVID, friendly or whatever. And he, kills this dude. He says, "Hail Hydra," and he chokes him to death. And then, the dude who is going to study for tomorrow's session, he's trying to get into his door, but his hands are shaking because he's so scared. And he's like, pleading with the dude, like, please, I didn't see anything. I'm not going to tell anything. He kills him anyway. And it turns out the whole thing was a nightmare. Bucky was remembering what his life was as the Winter Soldier, because the really fucked up thing about Bucky is that even though he had no control over his actions, he remembers everything that he did. So that's gotta be interesting of a concept. And,
yeah,
that's just fucked up. I mean, it's like at least allow the person to forget what they did. I mean, like if you're gonna brainwash them or program them, rather, at least let them forget it. But Hydra's a pretty fucked up organization, so they kind of like the pain that they inflict on people, even their own assets. So, yeah. And he's sleeping on the floor, which is interesting. Some blankets or pillow or whatever. This kind of goes back, I think, to a few people have said that in the Winter Soldier, there's an exchange between Cap and Sam, where Sam's talking about how, when he was in Afghanistan, like in other places, he pretty much got used to sleeping like in really rough areas and stuff. So by the time, he actually got home to sleep on a real bed, and Steve interjected and said it feels like you're sleeping on a marshmallow. It just doesn't feel right to be comfortable, and so it's like either Bucky's like maybe punishing himself by like just really living rough life, or he just doesn't want to sleep in the bed because it's too comfortable to get up, kind of like if you're basically it's like you always feel like you're on the run, you want to get up as soon as you can type of thing,
Yeah.
So if you're on the floor, you can pretty much just get up and run, but if you're in a bed, it's a little bit harder. I don't know. And he's got the TV on, which is interesting. I think they were showing a soccer game. I'm not sure if that's relevant to anything, but
it's Mephisto.
Yeah, everything's Mephisto. No,
wait, no.
And then we learn that he's got to be in therapy as terms for his pardon. He's got to do therapy, and interesting enough, because we might air this at a different time, but just before we recorded this, we recorded a League of Their Own TV show, and the dude who played the coach in that played the husband of the actress who's the therapist in Freaks and Geeks. So that's interesting. That's
yeah, that is funny.
Yeah, anyway, so she's Bucky hates the fact that she writes shit down when he refuses to talk to her. It just probably because of that notebook in I forgot what Civil War I think it was.
Yeah,
I think he doesn't like when people write shit about him because he's probably got that like PTSD. Like, oh shit, she gotta write down like a code that's gonna brainwash me or whatever,
Yeah.
In the back of his mind. I mean, he knows she's not gonna do that, but just that kind of triggering, like, oh shit, like that's really passive aggressive. And it's like, well, you don't talk, I write. So, she's trying to get him to admit that he's had a nightmare because she pretty much specializes in PTSD, so she knows when someone's hiding, that shit or whatever. And he still won't admit it that he's had a nightmare, but he does have like this thing where he's has to make amends with all the people that he either hurts or helps, as an agent of Hydra, like a politician that he put in the power.
It's his "My name is Earl" list.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. That's literally what it is.
Yes.
And he, there's 3 rules. You can't do anything illegal. You can't hurt anyone. Which, he's like, well, if that's a big rule, why shouldn't that be number 1? Don't hurt anyone. And then the third one is, I forgot what the third rule was. What was it? Oh well.
I don't remember either.
Third rule is something to do with you basically tell the person like who you are, what you're doing, and basically like. So he's like, I'm no longer the Winter Soldier. This is part of me making amends. So he basically got this congresswoman or a senator in trouble because she was an agent of Hydra, and he's the one that essentially put her into power. And even after Hydra, disbanded or fell or whatever, she pretty much just stayed in power doing her own nefarious things, on her own. And he got her in trouble. And he lied about that, said he didn't do anything illegal. He's like, he did. He programmed the car so he could drive it via remote control. I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah.
And she tells him, you need to like nurture your friendships, because Sam has been texting him and he's been ignoring all those texts, and he needs to get out more. He needs to, meet new people and stuff because, he only has 10 phone numbers in his phone. And she says, I'm the only person that you've called this week. That is so sad. And then he meets this dude. He doesn't meet. He goes to lunch with this old Asian dude every week, and he's
named Yori.
Named Yori. And this guy, his neighbor, is like throwing his own trash into Yori's trash bin. He doesn't like that. And he's like, well, what difference does it make? It's all trash. And he's like, he wants to fight the guy. It's like this 20-year-old dude or whatever, named Unique. And then they go to like a sushi bar, and Yori could see that the woman who's working behind the bar is kind of flirting with Bucky a little bit. So then he does the whole wingman thing, like, oh, he wants to ask you out on the date and all this stuff, And she's like, yeah, that's fine or whatever. You can come by at 10 or whatever when I'm done with my shift. So he was like, being the sweet old man wingman. It's like candy to these women or whatever. I don't know. And and then he goes on the date or whatever. And it's not her fault, but she's bringing up a lot of stuff that's making Bucky feel a lot of guilt, because it turns out is that he's the one that killed that guy's son. The guy in the beginning, or during his nightmare.
The guy we see during his nightmare is his son. Yeah,
and he knows this. This is the reason why he befriended the guy in the first place, to kind of like basically help him out, like so he's not just living alone and not having any friends. But he doesn't really want to tell him that he's the one that killed his son, because they were having dinner, lunch together at the sushi bar, and the guy looked over at some of the sushi and was reminded that was like one of his son's favorite dishes or whatever, and just kind of, and he never really knew how he got killed. Like he always felt that it was suspicious and that there wasn't really enough adequate information that was told to him that really made sense. That kind of like they're hiding something and not really telling the full truth, and he could never really fully get closure from it, because he didn't really quite know why someone would want to kill him, all this kind of stuff, and so she's kind of asked, she says like this thing, by the way, which is interesting, the same exact dialogue almost verbatim was in 6 Feet Under, because someone had a video clip and they played them both back to back or whatever, and she's like, when someone's spouse dies, they're either a widow or a widower. When someone's parents die, they're an orphan, but there's not really a word for someone whose kids die, and then he just gets up and leaves. Yeah,
I mean that's an old. I mean I know it was in 6 Feet Under, but it's also like an old concept too that's been around for a long time. I mean the same, mind you, 6 Feet Under is one of the best written television shows in history. But yeah, it was still it's an old concept that has been around for a long time, with the idea that there really is no name for someone whose kids die before them.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah. I don't know. But basically, yeah, he leaves the date, which I thought was cool too. I mean, I don't know if there's any significance here, but she had board games behind the behind the counter for when she gets bored at work, and they play Battleship, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
So it could, be symbolic of something, like just the, within the writing, with the whole idea of like the battles that Bucky's going through in his mind and things of that nature. And trying to deal with getting back into society and everything.
Right. And also, too, it said electronic set, but it was just the regular. So I wonder if that's interesting, too, because kind of like, since he's kind of like Steve, where he comes from a different time, they're playing like the old school version of it, not the electronic, whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and there is a point, like, I think it's funny too. She asks him about his gloves.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's like, "I got poor circulation." It's more like no circulation, really. I mean, it's.
Yeah. Wait. So are both of his arms metal, or just one?
Just one, I think. But still, It's just funny that
Yeah. No. I got. Oh yeah. To which he's like, you sound like my dad, because he said something like about how like the online dating stuff, like tiger photos. Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at sometimes or whatever.
Yeah. And then she's
like, wait. Yeah.
And she's like, how old are you? And he's like 106.
Yeah.
Which he is.
Yeah, exactly. So she just laughs at that. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. That actress was really cool too. I like I hope we see more of her in the series, because she's a good actress. She's cute and she's funny and everything. I like that too. So
yeah.
So what else happens here? What else we got going on?
Well, he goes back to Yori's apartment, and like, it looks like he's about to tell him, but then he sees that like he's, the guy's got like a shrine to his son with like incense burning and shit, and he just says like, "Oh, I forgot to pay you for lunch" or whatever. And then like the guy could see that, Yori could see that he's looking over at because he kind of looks back at the shrine, and he's like, "Why is he looking at that?" Type of thing. So I'm thinking that eventually it's going to come out. Either he's going to tell him, or Yori's going to find out some other way, probably from like a nefarious organization to try to.
Hopefully, I really hope that Bucky tells him. I don't. Yeah. It's like the whole thing with like that really bothered me about the early seasons of Arrowverse shows.
Yeah,
where it would be like the boyfriend or girlfriend of the superhero or whatever didn't know that the superhero was a superhero, or the best friend or the mom or the dad or whoever didn't know, and then they found out some other way, and it was like, oh no, why didn't you tell me?
You betrayed me.
Why didn't you tell me that you were the Arrow or the Flash or the whatever the fuck you are? It's just like yeah, it's just hopefully it's not something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what else. I think there was something else going on with Sam.
Oh, basically we had the whole Flag Smasher scene.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because where Torres is becoming part of some kind of like flash mob sort of thing that was set up like on the internet for the Flag Smashers, where they were robbing a Swiss bank, and while he was there, he ends up filming the thing, but he gets beaten up by this like really really strong, almost super soldier type guy, who is one of the Flag Smashers, which Joaquin was posing as well, one of the Flag Smashers. But then he tried to arrest this guy, and the guy like kicks him really hard to the ground, and so then he basically calls up Sam and lets him know what's going on, and Sam is like not sure how to feel about this, And then we have a big reveal at the end of the episode. Sarah's watching TV, tells Sam to turn it on, and there's this news broadcast, and this government official that Sam had talked to at the Smithsonian is announcing, revealing a new Captain America at the end. And Sam has this like what the fuck look on his face, like basically like he's been betrayed.
Right. He's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I gave up the shield, and now they well, plus two, because the guy said, so we're going to get into, I think we're going to get into the Flag Smashers are going to be more involved, because this new Captain America was being depicted as like specifically an American hero, because he's like,
and of course he's a white, as we know by the actor Wyatt Russell who's playing him. He's a blonde haired, blue eyed, Aryan white guy. so.
Right, because he's like, we've had all these, heroes, helping the world, and, we appreciate that very much, but America needs, like, its own hero just for her, kind of protect herself or whatever, and it's like, well, wait a minute, the Avengers were already doing that, it's like, anyway, whatever, and
it's kind of like the words that Sam said at the Smithsonian are coming back to bite him. Because he said we need new women and men for the times. But that's not really what he meant. And I think a lot of it, there's a lot of symbolism here to what's going on in our real world. Or at least what was when they were writing this show, where you have this whole Make America Great Again sort of bullshit.
Right.
Where saying that we need new heroes for this time, but what they're doing is trying to go back to what the world was like in the 40s.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with your stereotypical white dude protecting the country sort of bullshit,
Right, yeah, like the propaganda, because like they even showed posters where, Captain America saying, buy war bonds, invest in war bonds and shit like that, which, he didn't really even want to do that crap in the first place. That was just part of his job or whatever.
Yeah, it's just interesting. And, Wyatt Russell, who, by the way, is an awesome actor, and he's the son of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the episode, but he's in this Black Mirror episode, which is, like, really amazingly good. So, yeah, look that up, people, and watch it. It's a really good episode. I don't want to give away anything from the episode, so just watch it.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah, the other thing, too, when I was talking to you earlier, how he literally does not look good in that suit. Like, he literally is not suited for the job. Like, he looks weird in it, like, to me at least. Like, even the mask, it just doesn't look like it fits him correctly,
Very much like our MAGA president didn't look good in his suits.
Yeah. And his ties that went down to, like, his feet and shit, yeah. That guy, who was his name? I don't remember.
I refuse to say his name. But, anyways,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That guy, yeah.
That guy. He's no longer in office, so I don't have to worry about that fucker. I just gotta worry about other fuckers. So anyways, for the time being, until he comes back in 2024.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, anyways, do you want to take a break here, Matt, and then talk about some trivia and some other things about this episode?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll be right back.
It's the ninja from the Ask the Angry Ninja Show saying, come listen to the show. We got the ninja wife to give you movie reviews. We got the conscript to give you the ninja news. And we got the battle to talk about your sports. And as always, it is the Ask the Angry Ninja Show. So ask me a question. We'll give you the ninja knowledge you need for your ninja life. Search for us anywhere you get your podcast from. Just search for the Ask the Angry Ninja Show and enjoy the show.
And we are back.
I guess.
My name is Mike again. Still. This is Matt with me, in case you forgot.
Yeah, Matt.
Yep. So, you want to hear some trivia about this episode here, Matt?
Yes.
Okay, this is some trivia according to the Internet Movie Database. Or database. Or imdb.com. Okay. Sam tells the banker there isn't and never was a stipend for the members of the Avengers. Mm-hmm. In the Avengers number 215 comic book, it established, as of 1981, that each Avenger is provided a payment of $1,000 per week. Mm. This is worth $2,900 in 2021 dollars.
Mm.
So they were paid pretty well in the comic books. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson had a conversation with Steve Rogers in which he mentioned that his bed was too soft, and after he returned from the war, because he'd become used to sleeping on the ground, and as you pointed out in the episode too, Bucky Barnes is shown sleeping on the floor of his room with no mattress, implying that he feels the same way. Good catch there, Matthew. Horace, Batroc, played by Horace St. Pierre, was last seen in Captain America the Winter Soldier, as I pointed out, hijacking the Lumerian Star, a SHIELD ship used to launch the InSight satellites. John Walker, that we see at the end of the comics, at the end of the episode as the new Captain America, is also known as U.S. Agent in the comics. When Sam is walking around the Captain America Memorial, Victoria Alonso appears on a list of people that vanished in the blip. Victoria is one of the main producers of the MCU. The first appearance of John Walker as Captain America in the MCU. In the comics, John Walker was first a supervillain known as Super Patriot, but eventually takes the mantle of Captain America when Steve Rogers decides to step down. Later on, Rogers returns as Cap, and Walker assumes himself the persona of U.S. Agent, continuing as such to currently. So, yeah. Here are a few things that I never really point out normally. Here's some factual errors in the episode. At the scene set in Switzerland, one car is marked, I'm not going to try to pronounce this, but it's SICHERHEITSDIENTS. The correct spelling is SICHERHEITSDIENST. Don't know why, but I just felt like pointing that out. Level flight is not possible with a wing suit. The very best that can be achieved is a glide ratio of about 3-1. So if you're 50 feet above the bottom of a ravine, you'll crash after traveling only 150 feet along. There are lots of videos which appear to show level flight, but they're filmed just above sloping mountainside. And even if level flight was possible, you can't just fly alongside a helicopter and float into it due to the enormous downdraft produced by the rotor blades. So, yeah, that's some little factual errors in the episode. But that's okay, because we can suspend disbelief on those things, because this is a world where there's a fucking Hulk.
Yep.
Just saying.
And, the Captain Marvel, who's all-powerful, and, a witch who can, completely bend reality to her will, and,
a lot of things. Yeah,
yeah.
So, let's speculate here a little bit, Matt. Where do you think that this show's going? Like, what do you think's going to be happening?
I think that part of the story is going to be Flag Smashers and versus the new Captain America, who's going to be pretty much a nationalist, and they're going to be provoking each other probably, and Sam's probably going to be caught in the middle, trying to protect people who are going to basically be like collateral damage between the fight between nationalists and pretty much, I guess, internationalists. I don't know what you would call them.
Globalists.
Globalists, yeah. Alex Jones, the globalist.
Well, it's become a bad word, but globalist isn't actually a bad word, so it would be the description. Yeah.
It literally does fit your description. Plus, too, the name of the episode was New World Order.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest conspiracy theories, that the New World Order is that they're trying to abolish nations and pretty much just have like a one world government. So the Flag Smashers are probably going to be seen as like those people or whatever.
Plus, this was supposed to be the first television series to premiere. It was actually supposed to premiere before WandaVision.
Yeah.
So this would have been like the New World Order, like the beginning of the new MCU.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has various meanings, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they're all wearing costumes like the wrestlers in the New World Order of the WWE. Wait.
What?
I'm just joking.
So I think Sam is going to either somehow get S.H.I.E.L.D. or someone speculated too. I don't know what person it was, but that maybe it's not even the original S.H.I.E.L.D. That maybe when Steve went back in time, it could have been a whole different timeline. Because like when the Ancient One was talking to what's his name? Hulk, whatever his real name is. I can't think of his name.
Bruce Banner.
Yeah, Bruce Banner. And she talked about how, she didn't want to give up the Time Stone because when you take any of the stones out and you try to fuck with time, you actually create a whole different timeline. So maybe Steve, living his life in the 40s, created like its own sort of like alternate timeline, but it didn't affect everyone else's. I don't know. So maybe
the thing is,
like
he had different shields throughout the series as well, though, too. So
okay,
yeah, I mean, because Tony upgraded it several times, and or fixed it, different times and stuff, and it could be that
Thanos pretty much broke it,
and it could be the same shield, just with some alterations on it.
Yeah, like repaired and shit. Yeah.
So it's hard to say. Yeah. But I do find this so far, a lot of the allegories in the show to our modern society very interesting, which I love about like comic books and sci-fi, where you can basically kind of point shit out. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to totally miss these points and then continue to live oblivious in the world to what the actual issues about racism and
of course,
and just different isms in the world, so.
Yeah, the anti-SJWs, I want my comics to be political, man. They've always been political, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Like, it's like...
The people who are like, I don't watch Supergirl anymore because it's all about girl power. Her name is Supergirl, you fucking dumbass.
Okay. You know what gets me about that shit? So, again, like, we've talked about this many times on our podcast, but it still gets to me, is that, like, girls and women throughout this whole time have had no problem identifying with male superhero characters. Black people have had no problem identifying with white and or male superheroes. So the idea that like, oh, there's a woman superhero or there's a black, I can't identify with them. Well, wait, they've been able to identify with these people despite them not being male or them not being white, and they still identified with their attributes, like who they are. Like that's because that's more important than being female or black or whatever. But it's nice every once in a while to have someone who actually represents you. Oh my God, God forbid.
And it's not like the fact that you're okay. The thing is, inclusion does not mean exclusion,
right?
And that's the problem people have. They seem to think in the world that anytime we include something, that we're excluding you, and we're not.
Yeah.
Just because gay people have the right to get married doesn't mean you don't as well.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah. And it doesn't diminish the sanctity of marriage, or it doesn't, just because women were given the right to vote doesn't mean that white Anglo-Saxon males don't have the right to vote as well. It's
right.
like,
well, it just means that, it's going to be harder for us to win elections. Yeah, that's what democracy is. Sorry.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how they deal with all of these modern issues through the lens of a superhero story. And it'll also be interesting. I really hope that by the end of this, Sam comes to grips with who he is and realizes that he should be the new Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which I think that's how it's going to end,
Yeah.
And this is only 6 episodes as opposed to the 9 that we had with WandaVision. So,
shit. Okay.
yeah, but the episodes so far seem longer. Hopefully, they continue to be.
Right.
Because like this episode was like, I don't know, like 47 minutes long or something. So it's definitely a lot longer than most of the WandaVision episodes. So we'll see, and hopefully you guys, do you have anything else to say here, Matt, before we wrap things up here?
No, not really. Just I hope you get a chance to watch it, and see what you think about it.
Well, if you haven't watched it and you got this far into this episode, that's kind of weird.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, we spoiled everything, so yeah. But anyways, but you were warned, anyways. In the description of the episode that this is a spoiler-heavy episode. So, anyways, I just join us next week when we talk about the other episodes. Listen to our other episodes of our show if you like our banter. The latest episode that we have is our reaction to the Uncle Buck 1990 TV series pilot in our series that we started called Pilot Error. It's interesting take on the Uncle Buck series. So yeah, hope you enjoy that. You can watch that if you want to watch the episode too. It's on YouTube. If you want to watch that before you listen to our episode that we just posted this past Friday. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. Follow us on social media. Check out our All Too Real 2 podcast group. You can tell us what you thought of the episode as well. And you can also send me if you don't want to go on there, if that's if you're boycotting Facebook or something. Send me a message at mike@cullenpark.com, and we may read your comments on our next episode if they apply to what we're talking about. Yeah. Check out our TeePublic, our Patreon. Help support the show, please, if you want to continue to receive this excellent content that we provide for you. But yeah. Until next time, bye-bye.
Hey. Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.